Hello, hi, this is Ham. You're probably wondering why am I wearing a coat and a tie that is longer than Donald Trump talking to you. The reason is because I want to officially welcome you to the Malaysian Media Conference. This is the 15th year we are doing the Malaysian Media Conference, but due to COVID, we are doing it online. Now the best part about the conference this year is that it will be free. So in the month of November, every Tuesday after lunch, for a couple of hours, we will bring you our Power Pack program featuring about 20 speakers and panelists. So we have broken it up into 4 parts, and the subjects are very interesting and very entertaining, and some of our speakers, as you know, are amazing. So thanks to our sponsors, thanks to our media partners, and especially our presenting sponsor, Media Prima Omnia, who have made all this possible. So it is coming to you free this year. You will really be able to enjoy it in your own home. Stay safe. I am talking to you from a red zone. I'm happy because I'm inside the house. Similarly, we will also meet you inside your house. So I look forward to joining all of you together during these sessions, and stay safe.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the 14th Malaysian Media Conference, officially known this year as MMC Tuesdays, presented to you by Omnia. My name is Vasuki Rao, and for those of you who don't know me, I am from Marketing Magazine, and I will be your MC and host for all of MMC Tuesdays happening in November. I'm very excited to be here and to be welcoming all of you finally to this year's Malaysian Media Conference. That's slightly different than what we're used to, but definitely an experiment fit for the ages. I wanted to assure everyone that was really excited to join us physically as our initial plan, that despite moving it into a virtual conference, there is absolutely no compromise in the message, the content, the objectives, and we have the same amount of speakers and panel sessions as we initially had planned. So we're very excited to see this happen online, and best part is moving virtual has allowed us to make MMC completely free. So just sit back and relax as you watch our speakers and panel discussions present or discuss topics that have been curated specifically to inform, inspire, and hopefully initiate solutions that will enable us to achieve a great comeback, even if it's a little bit later than we expected. So without much further delay, I would like to introduce our first speaker, who is actually the Chief Marketing Officer of Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC, Raymond Siva. Ray has more than 23 years of experience in journalism, strategic marketing, and crisis and issues responses. He was actually appointed CMO of MDEC in October 2019, specifically to overlook the strong brand and strategic partnership division. Today, Raymond will be sharing his insights on how business as usual in the midst of a global pandemic means fully understanding the digital resources you have at hand and the potentials it possesses. So I would like to officially start off MMC Tuesdays by asking Raymond to take over the screen whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Professor Ham, Marketing Magazine, for having me here today. I'm glad to be the first speaker at the Malaysian Media Conference 2020. These are extraordinary times that we're going through, and certainly business as usual has been upended. And the topic that I have today that I want to share with you is really to speak about what can we do to navigate this interesting times that we're going through currently, and how do we perhaps plan for our business in 2021. Yeah? So let me get into it. Overnight, really, in March 2020, this was just about 7 months ago that things completely changed, right? On March 18th, we got up and the world as we know it, that is in Kuala Lumpur, completely took a new spin. We were left in our houses. We were looking at how to navigate through our work, our daily lives, and really we're not sure how to deal with this entirely new situation that we had, right? So there was really a thinking about what do we do next? How do we navigate the situation? It was certainly not business as usual. And it was certainly a time when leadership needed to come to the fore. We couldn't have leadership as usual. This was really a new situation for all of us. And so there was a scramble to think about how do we get through what's coming out in front when we don't know what's coming out in front, right? The new words that came up, and we all know this now, is the new norm, the new normal, and as McKinsey put it, the next normal. And this really spoke towards how do we get on past the crisis? It was a crisis. Business came to a standstill. Countries eventually came to a standstill, right? In terms of trade, tourism, businesses, right? We were thinking about a crisis for the first 1-2 months, then it became, even more than that, right? This crisis was, people have not navigated something like this in decades, right? There's been significant changes in how we lived our lives, how we interacted with our family, in our daily routine. No more going to work, but literally waking up, turning on your laptop, trying to get into calls, and it was calls upon calls. A lot of my colleagues felt that they were doing 12 hours, 14 hours work in the first 90 days of the lockdown. We're now very comfortable with masks, sanitizers, satanizers, if some people call it, physical distancing, friends no longer shaking hands, chest bumps, elbow bumps, and employees really now demanding working from home. So not just employers allowing us to work from home, but really employees are saying that this is something that they want to have in an organization, the flexibility of working from home, staying safe and caring for their families. This has really brought a new spin towards how we tackle societal issues, how we tackle issues at work, how we build relationships, and how we monetize our business, right? And as we go through this journey, the diversity in thoughts are really quite important, right? How do we get a collective together? How do we stay together to gain a richer understanding of this new norm, where things are certainly not the same as before? They will not be the same moving forward. So how do we come together? How do we share experiences to move forward in this new norm? And really what that speaks to is to adopt an experimental mindset. We really need to think about how do we try new things? This situation we've never faced before. So if we don't try new things, we don't know what the outcomes are going to be. And for businesses especially, we need to keep trying out what may work for us to see whether things can succeed. A certain strategy that we put in place can take us further or not, right? So the word fail fast, really, that's been used in the startup environment, now has become very important for all kinds of businesses. Really, it's also for ourselves, right? If we are not able to experiment and find new things for ourselves, in terms of whether you're adopting a new healthy lifestyle, whether you're setting parameters for yourself when you're working from home so that you have time and balance for your family. If you don't experiment with things and what works for you, then things will be quite difficult. And I think a lot of us have actually experimented with a number of new things over this last, again, 7 months or so. And we know now what may work for us and what may not. And I think that's a really important mindset to have as we move forward to 2021. I love this quote from Jeff Bezos, which really says, it's always day one at Amazon, right? So when you get into a company like that, the culture, the mindset is always, let's start afresh. Every day is a new day. Let's try new things, right? You don't know what is in front of you. You're not very clear what's in front of you. It's okay, right? As long as you have this culture, this mindset that you're able to take on the challenges, you're able to have the attitude of giving it a go. That is the mindset that we need right now, right? So it's always day one. You come back every day trying to think about what's new. What is there something that can try new today, right? And that mindset, I think, is going to take us quite far if we have it really internalized, right? From my perspective, at least, there are a couple of things that we need to look at as we reinvent business models in this time, right? I call it the 5 Ps, and some of you may look at it and say, yeah, you've seen some of these 3 Ps before. But I think purpose is really at the top of what we need to think about when we are reinventing our business models. Why are we here doing what we do, right? What is the purpose of us being in this business, be it marketing, advertising, banking, financials, whatever it is? What are we doing really? What's the impact that we are making? I think purpose drives us. Purpose drives passion in doing things, right? So as you think about business models and whatever business you're in, whether it's in data, advertising, PR, marketing, think about what you're doing in your organization. What is the reason for being for your organization in the space that you have? The second thing to look at is our processes. Right? We need processes in place. And given the new situations that we have, working from home, alternate work days or work weeks, a lot of different things, webinars that are coming in place, or face-to-face conferences or meetings with your colleagues. The processes will have to be looked at, right? And I can't tell you enough, or I can't emphasize enough, a strong process, a clear process where people know their roles and how their roles come together to deliver on the mission, on the purpose, is critical to any organization or any divisions to survive. The third P are partnerships. We certainly cannot go do things ourselves alone, especially with the limited resources or the constraint of resources that we may have right now. Revenues are impacted, income streams may be impacted. That leads to a lot of thinking around whether you need to right size your organization and change the way you do business. So the way forward here, especially in times like this, in a resource-constrained environment, is to look at how we can build on partnerships, work on complementary strengths that you have between your division, in your company, and also outside, B2B. How can your company, your organization, look at partnerships, bring the resource together so that we can move forward together? Yeah? Profits obviously are important, but in this sense, how do we balance profits and people? What is the need for that profit, right? Shareholder, stakeholder requirements will always be there, but there's a global movement towards money is a means to an end. And that end is societal well-being that perhaps you should have an eye upon, right? So what can you do with the money that you're making? Can you put some of that into the well-being of your employees? Can there be a way to recognize them and help them out working with their families or within your community? So the utilization of your profits should be plowed back to a bigger purpose, right? There's lots to gain from doing, from thinking along something like that. Yeah. And I would posit that a company would get a lot more loyalty, a lot more passion from their employees if they look down that route of sharing the profits with their people, with the community. And obviously, the last P is planet, right? So whatever we do right now, think about how can we look at things from a longer term perspective. Always have your eyes on the long game. This pandemic seriously has forced a lot of rethink. We've heard stories, we've seen stories on how nature has been regenerating during the lockdown. Right, you see the birds coming out, your rivers getting cleaner. You see a lot more of nature regenerating, and so you've got to think about again, perhaps a resetting of your business and how we can support the UN SDGs. It makes a lot of difference if every one of us decides to choose just one of the 17 UN SDGs and commit towards achieving it by 2030, right? As an individual or as an organization, really a time to rethink. We've got 9 years to the end of 2030, and what can we do towards maintaining stability, peace, prosperity in our planet? That's a bigger picture, right? But all of this will have to be enabled by an accelerated adoption of digital solutions. In my mind, at least, there's absolutely no way we can go on with business as usual, where things are done in a very traditional manner. Things have changed tremendously, and it's not going to go back, right? And being nostalgic about things is not too helpful at this point of time. But I think really that the digital solutions that are coming out in response to the constraints that we're facing as individuals, or constraints that the company is facing, is varied, many. The creativity that's coming out of our innovators, our creators in the digital space is amazing. So I would posit that all of this, while you're reinventing the business models, perhaps looking at 5 Ps, this must be enabled by an accelerated adoption of digital solutions. So as we enter into the new or next normal, as McKinsey calls it, digital transformation really is not a process. Neither is it an ambition or a target that you're going to get into over the next 12 months. This is a real and immediate need. We will have to define what is the solutions that we need, what is the transformation that we're going to undertake now. Again, I stress that it cannot be business as usual. We really have to think about how do we inject technology and how that technology will help us to continue in this new normal, to survive in this new normal, to thrive in this new normal, right? And we really have to do more with less. We don't have the luxury, and a lot of companies out there, you guys included in your companies. I'm not entirely sure, but I hear there's been right sizing. Revenues have been impacted for a lot of industries. So a lot of resources that we took for granted literally 7-8 months ago may not be there anymore, right? So a properly thought out plan to implement digital capabilities to really impact with scale is essential, right? How do we bring on the technologies in certain part of our businesses, whether it is in digital marketing, whether it's the process automation that we have, right, or systems revamp is essential. Without the strategy, without a comprehensive strategy, you risk wasting your money on expensive technology, right? Because there are lots of options out there for you to digitalize. As you want to build your marketing stack, for example, there's so many available options out there. So how do you do it without a proper digital strategy? Quite impossible. Yeah, so it's got to be a thinking, firstly, at the baseline, as you think about reinventing a business. What do you need, right? And that thinking needs to be based upon what your business is in, which space are you in, and what is the real need right now, right? Whether it is a process or supply chain automation or marketing, digital marketing that you need to put in place to really generate more revenue right now. You've got to think about where at what point does digital intervention become really important for you, right? And the focus is on really achieving business and revenue objectives. To see this pre-pandemic, only 22% of organizations were ready for remote work. But now, as we know, remote work or work from home is common practice, right? I literally work from home right now, a couple of days a week. Let's see, what happens after November 9. But really, companies like Google, Twitter, and many others in Malaysia as well have gone into full work from home mode, right? At least till the year end. Right? And for that to happen, the companies need to have the right technology. They need to enable their workforce to have the right technology, right? So they can work effectively. And most importantly, their customers will be supported, right? So what we took for granted before, meetings in offices, going to see clients, getting the clients to come and see you, and so on, this has been very difficult. And I'm sure that you guys realize that. So creative directors and the like, right? Presentations now to the clients have changed tremendously. You're doing the presentations online. Marketing, how do you go out and see your 5 clients a day? Your salespeople, how do they go out and maintain that relationship? And with sales and marketing, it also is a lot of personal relationships that we've built. A lot of golfs, a lot of lunches, just having coffee after work. How do you pivot from that traditional way of maintaining client relationships to now, right? So we really got to think about how technology can be brought into various aspects, various touch points in our business that will make sense to our business objective, right? And also, as organizations reinvent with this new norm, the process change and roles will shift. Your HR and how they deal with you would have changed, right? If you're a new employee, the onboarding process, especially from a work from home basis, would have changed a lot, right? So the processes would have to change. The right resources to train employees must also be provided. So as owners of business, or some of you guys who are running your own business, and the employees here, you may see your organizations changing, shifting, and if they're not, that will also lead to some frustrations, as I hear, from my colleagues as well. Without the right adoption of technology, without the speed of adopting the right technology in certain aspects of the business, will lead to some bottlenecks and challenges. Yeah. So secondly is, how will the new normal affect purchase decisions? We saw that retails and restaurants had to go digital. How do you maintain your customer base? How do you run your operations, your supply chain? How do you deliver on your products? Marketing has changed so much. Online marketing now is the go-to, right? And you have to adapt to the contactless payment reality. In all of this, there are opportunities. In all of this, there's a chance to reskill and upskill our knowledge, as well as to do business, right? Data is the new oil, and you guys have heard that so many times. But the data needs to be refined. The data needs to be looked at very carefully, needs to be segmented so that you can use it for the right purpose. I cannot stress enough how important data is to a business, right? The primary data that you have from your social media, your digital outreach is going to be critical. And digitizing the current database that you have, the name cards that you've built up, the orders that you've built up into a proper data set that can be fed into a database that can be monetized, that can be utilized effectively, is critical, right? In terms of attitudes, we've moved towards self-service. This contactless payment reality also lends itself to a contactless service. Customers are looking at getting into apps and mobile-friendly websites, and they want to find your products, they want to find your services. And you guys know that as well, because you're consumers too, right? So you use your Instagram or your Facebook to find things, right now. Where can I get a gardener? Can I go to Kaudim to get a gardener in? Can I get someone, a plumber? How do I do that? Grab, I'm sure you guys are on Grab, Food Panda, and all the rest out there, right? So our habits have changed tremendously as well. And so from a product, from a business standpoint, things have changed too, right? If the UX is poor, and you as consumers, as well as being in the business, will know if the UX is poor, you probably log out of that site, right? Without completing the purchase decision. So that gives us all an opportunity in this new norm, right? Especially us when we're working in this industry of marketing, advertising, media, digital PR. It provides us an opportunity to look at this and see how can we be creative? How can we bring a new mindset, understanding what the customers out there, the consumers out there want, and how can we pivot and provide some really good digital solutions to this real needs. And how will the new normal impact businesses and technologies, right? To reduce costs and do more, obviously we'll have to move to a cloud-based system. Right? A lot of companies have scaled down. If you look at office spaces, many have realized that with the work from home capability, there's no need to have big offices, maintain huge office spaces, right? A lot of things are moving on the cloud. So you're looking at servers, you're looking at systems enhancements that also provides opportunities for many people out there. Yeah? API solutions to integrate legacy systems are also very important, right? So chicken and duck talking, you're moving to a new normal. How do you do this, right? And I would posit that API solution providers would be very much in demand over the next couple of years as you move on from legacy systems into newer, more nimble systems that are coming up online, right? Again, I have to stress that we cannot sit back and expect things to go back to normal, right? We've got to really wake up. We've got to really think about how do we punch through the BAU, right? It's no more business as usual. You'll have to accelerate your digital operations and pivot your business models, right? That is the reality. And that is something that I really want to have for you guys to take back from my presentation today. Yeah. So as we think about what we want to do for our business and for ourselves, I can suggest that we live in the present, right? So fear, anger, joy, they're all emotions that we can use positively. Live in the present, right? So if there is some concern and anxiety about your job security, job stability, income being generated for business owners, live in the present, right? Turn that into a positive. It's emotions that lead us to survival, right? Fear, anger, joy. This pushes to survive, right? Choose optimism all the time. There's always a silver lining in this crisis, pandemic situation. Right? Choose to see where you can do best. It could be focusing on your health. It could be focusing on your family relationships. It could be many other things. Picking up a skill around the garden, which I just have chosen to do. So choose optimism. Choose to live in the present. Develop positive social relationships. We can't do our happy hours, perhaps, or we can't do our luncheons, perhaps, anymore. But what can we do around positive social relationships? I've known of friends who are getting together online, using Zoom and having their evening happy hours online, right? So there are other ways that you can enjoy and build positive social relationships. Nurture yourself, spend time for yourself. These are tough times, right? Got to be mentally strong this time. Resilience is really important. And the last one, you've heard this before, change is the only constant, so accept it, embrace it, use it for your benefit. The more we try not to change, the more we think that things will settle back to what it was before, I think it will get more difficult for us to just deny what is coming up in the future, right? So with this, I'll move on to the next, which is just some knowledge sharing from an MDEC point of view, right? From an MDEC experience. We realized very quickly that it was skilling, it was jobs that was a main concern for many, many Malaysians, right? You've heard stories about Mars, Air Asia, Malindo. You've heard stories about other companies providing VSS, MSS to their employees. Right? And all of this has led to a need for people to upskill and to reskill. So MDEC, we work with Coursera, we work with many of our other partners to have free access to 3,800 online courses that are certified, professional certification to unemployed Malaysians. So if you're thinking of picking up a preliminary course into data analytics or computer programming or many other things that we have out there, please do not hesitate to look at these courses that we're providing for free with our partners, in this tough time. So going back to what we said earlier on, what I shared earlier on, nurture yourself, spend some time in yourself. Perhaps this is the best time for you to think about new things that you can pick up so that you can future-proof yourself or for companies, to be future ready for what's coming up. We also have the SME Business Digitalization Grant. We have helped and assisted 316 companies. We have onboarded 230 tech service providers so that there's a matching that we can provide to the SMEs, to businesses. If they are owners of business here, you can reach out to us. The strategic collaborations that we have with BSN. So they provide the financing, we provide the technology service providers. It is up to a 5,000 ringgit matching grant per project for a maximum of 3 projects, right? So for example, if you want to automate, digitalize your HR system, if you put in $5,000, the government will give you a matching grant through BSN. Another $5,000, you've got $10,000 all in to embark on your digitalization process. It could be your marketing stack automation. It could be your ad tech automation, right? So if you're thinking about all of that, these are some of the assistance that the government via MDEC is providing. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about this, in the question and answer session, or you can email that to me at the end of the presentation today. An example of what we've done for the e-commerce players, we've worked with the marketplaces and launched the e-Dagang Expo. We had over 5,000 registrants. We had 1.2 million reach to help out small businesses to get onto the e-market platforms for e-commerce. That's a key area right now for Malaysians. A lot of the restaurants, the retail outlets, even professional services are looking to see how they can get online. So this was really something that we tried out 3 months into the MCO, 4 months into the MCO, and had massive response. So that will be a e-Dagang Expo coming up again, the second edition in December. And this is really to look at e-commerce. So for people out there who are interested, do reach out to me or look at our website, mdec.my for a lot more information. An example of the mindset changes that we have seen is also via our e-Usahawan program, where if you look at it, the participants here really learn about digital marketing, right? And how to digitalize their business. And it's simple things like this, right? It's the mindset change that we're looking at. How do you reinvent your business? Right? I talked about the 5 Ps earlier on. Pizza was certainly not one of those. But you see, if you have that mindset of abundance on how you want to reinvent the business using digital as the enabler, there's a lot of opportunities out there, and it's not difficult. Yeah. So only 2 in 5 companies say they are mostly or fully digital, believe it or not. Figure that has not moved a lot, over the last 24 months. But with a well thought out, well planned digital strategy, including the right choice of the digital solutions, you may flourish in ways that you've not imagined before, right? It's just rethinking your business model, rethinking what you bring to the table, and upskilling yourself, trying new things. Very important then is that we are always in work in progress mode. We don't know what the next 3 months, 6 months, 1 year will bring. We just really don't know, right? So I think that is really important thing, that there cannot just be an end goal that we will digitalize and that's the end of things. Things will continue to evolve. I think it's been set in motion, right? Digitalization has been set in motion. And the very word of digitalization and technology means there's a constant evolution, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, right? So if we think about our skill sets in our company, it's always in work in progress mode, then I think there's a lot of things that we can achieve in terms of constantly moving forward, not being complacent, not being comfortable in just the space that we're at, right? So embrace, encourage change. Communication is key, whether it's internal, whether it's your B2B clients or with your consumers. Communication is critical, and communicate with conviction. Right? If you have a good product and a great service, communicate that with conviction, put it out there. You can't just expect customers to come to you. If you're a great data scientist, data analytics, you're a great digital marketing person, put it out there, communicate it. Companies as well, if you're a great creative company or a PR company, put it out there, yeah? And lead with courage, lead with empathy. Courage is critical right now. We need leadership with courage from all levels of our society, right? And empathy is I think, a crucial value to have in all leaders. Let's think about what's on the other side, right? As we're leading our people, let's empathize with them and understand what they're doing. So it's really our time. This is really our time. Those in the business of communication, media, PR, this is really our time to punch through the BAU. And with all the skills that we have collectively in this industry, I think this is what now we have to bring together. And I'm really happy to be here at the MMC 2020. And I'm sure we'll have some really interesting discussions and talks. I have Jazz following me, or we have Dashika following me as well. And I think with all these great speakers coming up throughout the next couple of days, this is going to be a great conference. And on that note, thank you very much. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to send it across now or email it. Yeah. Thank you. Don't forget to visit MDEC.9. Send us your queries if you have. We'll be more than happy to take that. Right. Thank you, and have a great MMC 2020.
Thank you very much, Raymond. Before we move on to our next speaker, I will be taking a 5-minute screen break. So hang on tight and hydrate while you watch a couple of our videos from our sponsors. And yep, so just sit tight and I'll see you back again in 5 minutes. hi there again. Welcome back from our screen break. I'm going to be introducing our next speaker, who is an individual that's made it to Forbes' 30 Under 30 for Asian Social Entrepreneurs in 2017. Her name is Jazz Tan, and she is the CEO and founder of YouthsToday.com, which is one of the largest youth engagement platforms in Malaysia. So Jazz's objective was, and it remains to be, helping get kids off the streets by placing them in youth development programs. So what the platform does is it matches student projects online with brand sponsors, and the platform currently has over 100,000 users. Jazz is here today with us to share her story and offer an interesting insight on what brands should understand about the generation of future buyers. And with that, I'd like to bring on Jazz herself.
Good afternoon, hey guys. My name is Jazz, and I'm the CEO and founder of YouthsToday.com. And today I'll be covering the topic of a generation of future buyers and who are they really, right? So this brings me back to why I started this company that primarily focuses on young people. I lost my father when I was 14 years old. He was involved in gangsterism when he was young. So with the wrong peer influence, he got himself murdered. And as for me, growing up, I told myself that, one day I want to keep as many youth off the streets as possible. And I want to help them when I grow up, right? So ever since, I have been working on making this dream come true. So I started a platform called YouthsToday.com. We specialize in researching on youth, and we work closely with young people aged between 18 to 25 years old. So I believe the core of marketing should always be the empowerment for the community. I believe many of you are also aware of the term community marketing. As for us, this is the best marketing strategy that we have used so far. We always play an active role with the youth community, and a conversation that we constantly strike with these young people almost every day. So you first need to understand that if you're targeting this group of young people, you need to know that they are moving into their adolescence stage in life, which means they are finding their own voice and also their own identity. I've been working with hundreds and even thousands of young people aged 18 to 25 years old for the past 10 years of my life. I gotta say that they are a generation that wants to be understood, given opportunities to, and a generation that wants to make a difference in this world. So I think the burning question here for most brands are, how can you build brand loyalty from these young generations or the generations of future buyers? So these are the four main questions you need to cover when you decide to engage the youth, right? So the role that we are playing here as an organization has always been, how can I help you, right? How can I achieve your dreams? How can we open up more doors or even opportunities for you as a youth? What do you need to do to change the world? And how can we provide you a platform to shine? So if you're a brand that can help this generation of future buyers to actually answer these four important questions here, then you will be able to earn their trust. Because of this community marketing strategy that we use almost 100% of our marketing efforts, eventually it empowers the youth communities to be the best version of themselves. So eventually they will talk about us, they will share about us with their friends, they will tell their family members about us, they will remember us as part of their lives, and eventually the very most important thing is they involve us in their daily lives. So even like for these students, the lecturers of the colleges and universities will say, or even will ask, if you have an idea, go to YouthsToday.com, right? If you need help, go to YouthsToday.com. If you need resources, go to YouthsToday.com. Or even if you need support, go to YouthsToday.com. we've built it in a way that the whole community right now and the whole ecosystem evolves around our brand. So this is something that you can look into when it comes into building your brand. And we got thousands of student leaders, right, requesting us every day, asking us to help them with their projects, their ideas, as well as their own youth communities. We then channel all our clients' resources to be embedded in their projects, such as sponsorships, products, and even client services. So the more in-depth we go into, the more trust we build around these youth communities. So I'm going to share with you some examples. What I learned is that the key to unlock the hearts of these future generations is definitely to participate, and to be really, really present, right? The longer you stay, the better it is for the community, right? Because the longer you stay, it helps to build trust with them, and remember to constantly ask non-self-serving questions. So eventually, conversations leads to conversions, and conversions will eventually lead to sales. So these are the 4 key examples, as you can see here, that I would like to share. Basically, as a student or a youth themselves, they will face with all these different problems, right? So especially with student debt. So we launched programs such as the PTPN debt-free competition. We collaborated with the government and the PTPN bodies. So we help students to actually get themselves involved in this competition. And if they win this competition, they will get their student loan all wiped off. So this is one of the example that you can help build around your community, right? And second of all, we also pull in a lot of resources where we work with job portals especially. So students can be equipped with soft skills. So when they come out into the job market, they know what to do. So we launch actually ambassador programs with job portals, and we help them to equip their soft skills with workshops, webinars, and things like that. So we get the student ambassadors involved in the community projects, and we get them to actually reach out to their peers too. So we actually make a difference in the community alone. And thirdly, also students who want to actually raise money and sponsorships, especially to go overseas. So what we do is we actually integrate the brand, or we brought in brands to actually work with them on marketing and also brand activities. So when students or youth actually get involved with all this, it will help empower them to actually reach out to more people. And last but not least, as I mentioned just now, you have to constantly ask yourself, how can you provide young people especially a platform to shine? So one of the last example here is that we work with cement companies, where the cement companies actually provided their cement trucks to be painted, so students can actually showcase their arts and designs with this company. And eventually the cement truck can, they are going around the areas, and it helps to actually showcase the art to the main public. So these are all the different examples that we actually run in our organization, bringing brands and also young people together. And at the end of the day, it's all about empowering the community, because if you can earn all the trust, especially for this future generation, that's where everything will happen. So I hope my sharing today brings you a new perspective on how you can actually build your brand around the generation of future buyers and empower them to be the best version of themselves. So thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for our last session for MMC Tuesday 1. And it is my pleasure to introduce Dashika Gnaneswaran, Microsoft Malaysia's communications lead, who is responsible for all of Microsoft's internal and external communications nationally. Dashika is a veteran in the communications industry and has 15 years of experience in a wide variety of fields. Some of them are branding, public relations, digital and content marketing, business-to-business relationship management, speaker profiling, and a couple of others. Sorry, Dashika, if I missed out any there, but I think that's plenty. And what's more plenty is that throughout her career, Dashika has received close to 20 local and international prestigious academic and industrial awards, including the most recent being the Best Business to Business Campaign at the PRCA Southeast Asia Awards 2020. And with that, I'd like to invite Dashika to present a compelling look at how technology that enables accessibility and inclusivity is actually a catalyst to rebuilding economies. So Dashika, whenever you're ready.
Hi everyone, a very good evening and thank you so much for joining us today. Before I start, I just want to introduce myself. I am Dashika. I am the communications lead for Microsoft in Malaysia. And I also want to thank the organizers, Marketing Magazine, for having me here to share my thoughts, my experiences, as well as my insights. I hope you find this session exciting, as excited as I was putting it together for you. And should you need any details, just look me up on LinkedIn or ping me and I'm happy to share with you. So this is where we're at, right? We're in a time where it's definitely unprecedented, but we also know that technology as well as telecommunications are probably the two things that's basically the lifeline or the bloodline for any economy at this point. But it's also important for us to remember that we need an accessible and inclusive economy so that every person in this world is empowered with the tools, platforms, and services needed to contribute back to the economy. So before I move on to my session today, I also wanted to let you know who I am and where I come from and why inclusivity is also a very big portion of my advocacy as well. So I basically have been raised in a family with disabilities. So my dad is wheelchair bound. And what I've learned from him is basically strength, courage, commitment, and just the resilience that if you have your mind to do anything and everything you want to do, you will be able to succeed. So I've been working with Microsoft for about 3 years now in the profession of communications and advocacy and marketing for about 15 years. And part of my job also allows me to do create more awareness about accessibility, about the importance of education, and as well as the need for people to understand the importance of skilling and what that will mean for them to have a competitive advantage as well. Moving on, I think what we all are seeing today is the fact that the world is changing, right? It's moving so fast. Things have changed where we are today. And we know that technology is actually changing the way we're actually working, studying, learning, as well as just living life in totality. But what I also wanted to share with you is where we were 20 years ago and where we are today. So if you see the top 5 market caps of capitalization for 2000, year 2000, you will realize that the 5 brands that were basically topping the markets at that point, out of 2 of them were from the oil and gas industry. And then of course you have our Coca-Cola, who is not familiar with the brand, but you also had Microsoft as part of the top 5 market cap. And then moving on 10 years down the road, you also realize that, hey, you see a lot of the oil and gas industry of brands topping the market. And 10 years later, where we're at today, we're seeing the top 5 market caps actually come majority or all of them actually from tech backgrounds and tech industry. And of course, the only common denominator or brand that you see across the past 20 years is Microsoft. We've evolved, we've changed, we have grown with our people, we've grown with nations, and here we are to tell our story as well. So of the Fortune 500 companies that we saw in year 2000, 20 years down the road, we realized that 52% do not exist. The important thing that we need to understand is digitalization is here to stay. And if you don't digitalize, if you don't change the way you innovate, the way you do your business, or even just the way you are adapting to the environment and society around you, that might be a challenge. So there's 3 parts that break down into the 4th industrial revolution, which we are in today. So there's a physical automation, there is the biological automation. And then you also have the digital disruption, which includes Internet of Things, big data, and of course, artificial intelligence, also known as AI. Where we are also helps us to understand the three big picture of how we see the collaboration or the connection between human need, innovation, and progress. As our needs change, as we evolve as people, as we are becoming more demanding, if I can say, in terms of the way we want to make our lives different, or the way we want to make it faster, or we want to, the way we are shopping today, the way we choose how to even buy our cars have all changed, right? So where do we go? We go into the internet, or we go into sites, we look into blogs, we look into social platforms to understand better how that we can make a difference, how we can be different, and just basically agile and adapt to the current society. But that also means that innovation has to happen as fast as our needs so that we all are staying afloat. So innovation happens from the businesses. So businesses, to stay basically in trend and in motion of what we want, also need to adapt, need to digitalize, need to move on and adapt what's new, what's next in the market to stay relevant. And with the need and the innovation that comes with it is where progress happens. So the evolution of human needs, the evolution of innovation contributes to the progress of not only a business, not only a society, but nation and economies at large. So where we are seeing is, and according to Mark Weiser himself, he says the most profound technologies are those that disappear. They weave themselves into a fabric of everyday life until they are indistinguishable from it. So the common denominator between our needs, our evolution and innovation, as well as the progress, is technology. With technology, we're enabled to live that cycle and perhaps adapt into a new way of living, a new evolvement of living with the support of technology. So what we are also seeing is the fact that the world is a computer. When I say it's a computer, it means that everything is interconnected. So it could be basically your handphones and your machines and a CCTV, for example, and the IoT, the big data, the artificial intelligence, and all these emerging technologies connecting people from one to another. That's really, 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 really humongous, but we're also not seeing it because it's weaved within the way that we live today. How do we actually make technology more relevant to the way we are living today and how do people actually innovate technology is through data. So what we're seeing is data is the new oil. And we saw in the year 2014, there was 2.8 trillion of information flow of data just in 1 year, which is in 2014. But what we also realized by this year or end of this year, that would change to 11 trillion. So as you can see, data is basically the new data, the new oil is basically the way that people are going to be doing their marketing, people are going to be innovating their businesses just to stay agile and relevant to the needs of the society. If you see across the evolution of time, we would see, like, from the start of the wheel to creating telephones to the internet, which was in the 1980s. Now AI is basically dominating the way businesses look at themselves, the way people are looking at adapting the new change of life, as well as how AI and emerging technologies can contribute to a more sustainable, digitalized nation as well. According to Harry Shum, basically he's the EVP of AI and Research at Microsoft, he says that AI will transform every business, improve lives, and solve even society's most fundamental challenges. So we all know that AI is a game changer, and we all know that it is here to stay, and it will help us to become more innovative. Before I move on further, let me share with you a video on AI and its contribution to our society.
Innovation is not just a word, it's an action. With artificial intelligence, we are not crawling or walking or running, we are flying. Today, Microsoft AI helps an architect bring history back to life. He doesn't see data, he sees fragments of our past. This is now. Artificial intelligence helps farmers grow more food with less resources. She's not collecting information, she's feeding a growing population without wrecking the planet. This is real. An engineer explores how AI can help the deaf see sound. She's not looking at obstacles, she's staring down opportunity. Innovation doesn't see the possibility of tomorrow, it creates tomorrow. And are you ready for the headline? Tomorrow is here today.
He so rightfully said that, right? Tomorrow is indeed here today. I'm just quoting Satya Nadella, basically our head for Microsoft Global. He said that the digital transformation that has happened in the past 2 months should actually happen in 2 years. That means to show that basically we've digitalized things so fast that something that's supposed to happen in 2 years has happened within 2 months. And we're seeing these disruptions happen across all industries, right? So we're seeing this across the healthcare industry. Most importantly, we're seeing this across the financial industry, the automation industry, and of course, even within the technology industry itself, you're seeing the multiple disruptions, the changes, the way we work, the more need for us to use technological solutions as well as technology platforms and just tools to basically help us with work, with play, with learning and everything else. So what we've also understood is how is AI and technology contributing to the growing opportunity of an inclusive economy. So in 2018, the number predicted was 1.2 trillion. 2019, it grew to 1.9 trillion. In 2020, it was 2.6 trillion. 2021, we're to hit 3.3 trillion, as well as 2022, we're seeing it close to 4 trillion. So if you see within just 5 years, you will see a humongous amount of a difference from 3.9 trillion that we're supposed to see in 2022 to what it was at only 1.2 trillion at 2018. So there's 3 trends that we're seeing as we change the evolution of technology and the evolution of digitization. Is the trends that we're seeing is automation. And with automation, you will see the fact that the jobs are evolving. And with that, you also see, because jobs are evolving, there is a need for us to upskill ourselves. So automation will happen as we continue to digitalize our industries and services and products and solutions. But are our jobs fit to basically, or are we equipped enough to basically help with the advancement of automation? Do we have the right skills today that we need to advance these automation opportunities that's out there? So jobs will definitely evolve. AI will definitely contribute to the evolution of these jobs. AI will also create new jobs as well for us. And with that, it's important for us to upskill ourselves and to give ourselves that opportunity to learn and diversify our portfolio, because we also want to be able to contribute back to the economy as well. So just according to Mark, who has said it very rightly, he said 2 types of jobs that we're seeing in the future. One is the one where people who tell computers what to do, and the other one will be people who are told what to do by computers. I guess all of us want to be the first version who is telling the computer what to do. So given where we're at and given the market and the landscape and the evolution of how we're seeing things, I think it's important even at Microsoft, we take a step back and we see how can we actually help people and businesses and nations at large to basically achieve more. So just coming back to our mission statement, it's basically to empower every person and organization on the planet to achieve more. Currently, we are strong across 120,000 people across 120 countries, and we are growing our market share, we're growing our potential, but most importantly, we're also growing our solutions that we build for people to enable inclusivity as well. So what we've also done, and we wanted to make sure that this was part of our agenda, it's part of our priority. It was important that we all notice this, all businesses need to notice it, is the fact of inclusive hiring, inclusive businesses, and inclusive products and solutions and service. The next video you'll be seeing is my colleague Saqib Sheikh, who is based in London. He's an engineer working with our Microsoft team in London. He's blind, he lost his sight at the age of 7. But what you will also see is how we've taken his skills and how he has contributed for us to create solutions with people who have sight disability. So watch this.
I'm Saqib Sheikh. I lost my sight when I was 7, and shortly after that I went to a school for the blind, and that's where I was introduced to talking computers, and that really opened up a whole new world of opportunities. I joined Microsoft 10 years ago as a software engineer. I love making things which improve people's lives, and one of the things I've always dreamt of since I was at university was this idea of something that could tell you at any moment what's going on around you.
I think it's a man jumping in the air doing a trick on a skateboard.
I teamed up with like-minded engineers to make an app which lets you know who and what is around you. It's based on top of the Microsoft Intelligence APIs, which makes it so much easier to make this kind of thing. The app runs on smartphones, but also on the Pivot Head smart glasses. When you're talking to a bigger group, sometimes you can talk and there's no response, and you think, is everyone listening really well, or are they half asleep? And you never know.
I see two faces, 40-year-old man with a beard looking surprised, 20-year-old woman looking happy.
The app can describe the general age and gender of the people around me and what their emotions are, which is incredible. One of the things that's most useful about the app is the ability to read out text.
Hello, good afternoon. Here's your menu.
Great, thank you. I can use the app on my phone to take a picture of the menu, and it's going to guide me on how to take that correct photo.
Move camera to the bottom right and away from the document.
And then it'll recognize the text. Read me the headings.
I see appetizers, salads, paninis, pizzas, pastas.
Hi. Years ago, this was science fiction. I never thought it would be something that you could actually do, but artificial intelligence is improving at an ever faster rate, and I'm really excited to see where we can take this. As engineers, we're always standing on the shoulders of giants, building on top of what went before. And in this case, we've taken years of research from Microsoft Research to pull this off.
I think it's a young girl throwing an orange frisbee in the park.
For me, it's about taking that far-off dream and building it one step at a time. I think this is just the beginning.
This is basically our vision for communications at Microsoft. While we focus on our customers, we create impactful campaigns and be in the moment that matters. And of course, the importance is also to innovate along the journey. We always ask ourselves, are we being diverse and inclusive in everything that we do? Because that, of course, contributes to better impact, better insights, and making sure that we're building something that enables anybody and everybody in the world. So the 3 steps to inclusivity that we practice is inclusive culture within the organization, like how you've met Saqib. We have many colleagues across the world who actually help us and with just understanding the importance of inclusivity, how can we better serve our people through our products and the innovation that we're creating through our solutions. How are we also communicating with the community in an inclusive manner as well. So just to share with you, this is where the numbers for disability stands as of today. Across the world, we have about 1 billion people with disabilities, and 2 times of the unemployment rate are within people with disabilities as compared to people without disabilities. And that's a very, 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 very staggering number. And I know also in Malaysia, we have a target to ensure that at least 1% of the workforce is people with disabilities as well. So that it is important that we think through every time we do something as communicators, as businesses, as organizations, are we being inclusive? Are we thinking about everybody out there, different layers, different societies of people, and are we giving them the opportunity as well? So there's 3 areas of disabilities, basically, whether it's a permanent disability, a temporary, or even a situational one. And what's also apparent is that 70% of people, their disabilities are invisible. So we are not able to see their disabilities, and sometimes we take that for granted, that because they're not showing a disability or they look normal. But it's important for us to be a bit more sensitive, inquisitive, and making sure that everyone, at least in your room, understands and is with you and is, has a thought to what you're presenting or sharing, or what you are even trying to advocate about, because not everybody will understand the same lingo that you're speaking. Not everybody probably can see what you're sharing. Not everybody can even hear what you're saying. So are you doing everything you can to make sure that you are enabling everyone with disability? So the future of accessibility is basically contributed by the disruption of innovations. And we know that change is possible. We know that people with disabilities actually have talents and skills that we need to tap on as we grow the economies across the world. So even in Malaysia, we have an objective to basically create an economic resilience, to empower people to build and recover the economy. And it takes every layer of person to do that as well. So what we need to ask ourselves is, are we building a brand that caters to everyone? And are we telling a story? And does our brand resonate with the broader set of our customers? So let me tell you a story. So this is Darth. Darth is an avid gamer. He spends a lot of time in his day gaming. He uses the Xbox and the Xbox console to basically fill up most of the time in his day. And he was playing a game with Phil Spencer. So Phil Spencer is our EVP for gaming for worldwide. And Phil also is an avid gamer, and it's important for him to understand the gaming landscape, the people who are gaming and using our console, so that we can create more innovative products, right? So Darth was playing a game with Phil, and he said, while they were chatting and they became friends, and then he said, hey, Phil, can I get tickets to the E3 event that was happening? E3 is basically a gaming convention event that happens on a yearly basis. So Darth had asked whether could he get tickets for that event? And Phil is like, yeah, sure. And then he said, can I get 2 tickets? I would like to bring my mother. And Phil is like, okay, sure. So in Phil's mind, he's thinking, okay, maybe Darth is like, underage, or, he needs his mom to accompany him for this trip. It's like, sure, I can get you 2 tickets. So then they decided to meet at the E3 event, and they decided a place to meet. And when they met, it struck Phil why he actually needed that extra ticket. So this is Darth. Dart is wheelchair bound. He's got a waist down disability. And he actually plays games for a living as well. And he creates new applications within games as part of the way that he earns his wage, as well as how he fulfills his time in the day. And so he needed a ticket for his mother because he needed his mom to accompany him, to also accompany him throughout the trip and to assist him wherever he needed help with. So that was the reason why he needed the second ticket. So when Phil was asking him, so hey, Dot, tell me if there's anything you would like to change about our solution or our console, what would it be? And then he said, you know, there is one thing, if it's possible, if you could change your the way that you create, make it your solution, your Xbox console, and to make it more adaptable to people with disabilities, that would be much easier, because currently your control doesn't allow me to basically navigate in a more fast and agile manner, because it's created only for people with abled hands who are able to swift their hands and move it around so that they can easily and fast in terms of how they interact with their game as well. And Phil took that advice and he said, oh yeah, actually that's a good point. I'm going to do that. And so guess what happened next? So the next batch of our Xbox game actually took that into consideration, and I am going to share with you what we had done with our remote control as well, and how it's empowered people with disabilities.
My name is Grover.
Sean.
My name is Ian.
I'm Taylor.
My name is Owen, and I am 9.5 years old.
I only have one.
And yeah.
I love video games, my friends, my family, and again video games.
Whenever I play it, it makes me feel happy.
The fun that you get to have with connecting with your friends.
You make your own rules.
It's his way of interacting with his friends when he can't physically otherwise do it.
When I'm playing with a regular controller, there's some things that don't work for me.
It's difficult for me to use both joysticks and the D-pad at the exact same time.
And it just slowed me down a bunch more, while other people were like...
She's never had the freedom to play at the level she knows she could.
I never thought it was unfair. I just thought, hey, this is the way it is and it's not going to change.
What I like about the adaptive controller is that now everyone can play.
I don't even have to look at the controller and just be like looking at the screen like, hey, yep.
You never want your kid to feel like an outsider or an other.
One of the biggest fears early on is, how will Owen be viewed by the other kids? He's not different when he plays.
It's a little challenging, but that's the whole point of gaming.
I can hit the buttons just as fast as they can.
And I think I can crush my friends.
No matter how your body is or how fast you are, you can play. It's a really good thing to have in this world.
Indeed, when everyone plays, we all win. I think, okay. So I guess what he said is definitely true. When everybody plays, everyone wins as well. But I think what is also important is the culture within the organization. If you don't have that culture and mindset to make a difference, there is no way that you will be able to produce, to innovate, and to create new moments and memories for people with disabilities. So culture is definitely something that we instill in Microsoft, and we recommend, and we definitely advocate for people to instill. And with culture, with a different type of culture, the cultural mindset to basically be an all-inclusive, all-adaptive society, and take in consideration everyone's thoughts as well as abilities is important. What I'm going to leave you with is a video from Satya Nadella himself. He's basically the CEO of Microsoft, who will share with you importance of culture and how we practice it at Microsoft.
The culture of a place is what I think defines the pursuit of excellence. In other words, you can sort of look at a company and say, wow, they're doing great things, but you've got to really look underneath that and understand the culture, because that's what produces whatever it is that you achieve in terms of greatness. And to me, the concept that there is one culture and you want to change it by unfreezing it and freezing it back again, as a model itself, I don't think works. There have got to be enduring values, but when it comes to culture, what I aspire for us as a company is a learning, living culture. The thing that we have anchored on is this notion of growth mindset. It comes from psychology. There's enough theory there. And if you take that posture, that every day I'm going to be better than the previous day, as individuals and as a company, that's the culture I want at Microsoft, and that'll serve us. In fact, that's what's going to make us great listeners, learners, and doers.
So with culture comes the importance of tech intensity. When we speak about tech intensity, we speak about the importance for tech adoption, as well as the capability to adopt that new technology. So what I'm going to also share with you is how we're doing it at Microsoft is we have Hyan. Hyan is basically our researcher, but she's also used her tech capabilities to the best to create solutions for our friend Emma, who needed support in terms of how she was going to go about her daily life. So watch this.
Okay, right, I'm going to try and replicate this here. We're off to a great start. I tend to kind of just avoid doing sketching and writing now because it's not really worth it if you get something like that. Anything you could do that would just make my hand do what I want it to do and be able to sign my name would be an incredible thing.
How do we even just begin to help her overcome this particular symptom of her tremors and helping her be able to regain her writing ability, her drawing ability?
So what I'm doing is I'm making a very rough prototype, and what this board does is I can connect into it through these wires, these tiny coin cell motors. So these motors will vibrate.
I personally think that what this is doing is it's short-circuiting whatever feedback loop there is between the brain and the hand that's causing the tremors.
So the idea is if you are distracted by the vibration, are you able to write better? I don't know. I don't know.
It's affecting something. I don't quite know what's happening.
I'm on to something, right? I'm on to something.
Forget that I have a tremor. I've drawn one of them for a long time. I've actually just written my name for like the first time in ages.
I can't believe it.
Mum, it's called the Emma.
Oh, brilliant.
It's got my name on it.
In addition to empowering our people to also think inclusive and build inclusive solutions, we also empower our partners and customers to also partner with us to build inclusive solutions. So this partnership is especially important and very critical for us, is a partnership with SwiftKey. So basically they create intelligent and interactive keyboards, and how they had supported children with autism with the support of AI to basically enable these kids to interact better and to show their emotions, to be also able to just enjoy life and value life and just be part of a normal life as much as possible. So watch this.
SwiftKey Symbols is a communication app for people who are non-verbal, and it supports them in expressing themselves.
Rowan, my youngest brother, has low-functioning autism. He finds it difficult to communicate and can get very upset if he can't make himself understood. I took what we used at home with some symbols that my mum would print out, laminate, cut out, stick Velcro on, put them into folders, and I just thought I could make that easier. If we did it on an app, though more fun for Rowan because he loves technology.
The underlying AI technology which SwiftKey Symbols uses is the same technology which powers the SwiftKey keyboard. We use AI technology to be able to learn from the user's behaviour, to see what they like to use in terms of their own style of language, to predict what's going to come next.
It works by having a library of symbols that you can pick and choose to build your sentence, and each symbol has a word associated with it. And we use SwiftKey AI predictive technology to learn what you've used previously, sentences that you've previously built, and then we surface what word you might want next and what symbol you might want next to build your sentence.
I want juice, please, Kate.
We developed it alongside Riverside School, which is a school specialising in learning difficulties.
To be able to express what they want without prompting is a really big thing. Go on then, ready? I want cow.
We have so many pupils who are non-verbal but still have so much to say.
I think AI can just make everything in life more efficient so you can enjoy life to the max.
There's no better feeling than to hear a child say something that they've wanted to say and the look on their face after they've been able to say it. You can't really beat that because that's them expressing themselves and that's really what you want from them.
It's joyous. I don't think I can think of a better word for it. It's complete joy and celebration.
So, folks, this is what I'm going to leave you with. I'm going to leave you with the need for you to think inclusive, the need for you to basically adopt an inclusive mindset, and the need also for you to do that is to diversify your abilities, your skill sets, as well as your approach on how you're looking at things. So regardless of what role you're doing today, whether you're a communicator, you're a marketer, you're a salesperson, anyone and everyone, it's important that we just change the way we're looking, change the lens that we're looking and how we're operating things so that we can support every layer and every person in the society. And how do you do that is, and this is something I practice personally, is basically you need to continuously be passionate, bold, ambitious, hungry, and you want to keep lifelong learning as your mantra that you go through in your daily basis, right? If you do that, I think, and if you continue wanting to innovate yourself, that is when you can contribute to innovating a business, contribute to innovating a nation, and contribute to innovating economies in total. Right. So with that, if you want to learn more about how you can skill yourself and understand the importance of skills and how you can just diversify your portfolio in totality, we have a global skills initiative. You can just basically look it up at the site called Skills for In-Demand Jobs. And we have 10 skills. These are all 10 skills that's needed for future-ready roles. And they're free. Look it up, try it, learn it. And yeah, let's together learn and support each other so we can make sure that this world is an inclusive world and we're supporting our friends who need the accessibility need, as well as we're giving them an opportunity to also rise up and shine as we continue to grow ourselves and develop nations in whole. So with that, folks, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for listening to me. Should you need anything, please ping me. Just look me up on LinkedIn. I am Dashika Gnaneswaran. And I'm so happy to support, have chats with you. Virtual conversations are the only way for now. But yeah, let's connect and let's see how we can make this world a more inclusive place. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. The first day of MMC Tuesday has come to an end. Before I log off for the day, I'd like to once again thank our presenting sponsor, Omnia, for supporting us as we embark on our first virtual conference. I'd also like to thank our media partners who have been with us throughout the years, specifically The Edge, Malaysia Kini, and BFM. Last but not least, thank you to our speakers for the day. We obviously could not have pulled it off without your patience and understanding as we maneuvered all the changes that came our way. For those of you who are still with us, don't forget to tune in for the second MMC Tuesday happening on November 10. We've got speakers Ganesh Banga and Eugene Lee, and a star-studded panel session discussing how our industry should move forward by removing certain stumbling blocks. So if you have any questions for our speakers or us organizers, just drop a comment below. Otherwise, have a good evening, everyone, and I'll see you again next Tuesday.